Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you joined me today. I am suffering a little bit from cedar fever, but that won't stop me from showing you this cute card using stitch slots and ephemera. So here is the stitch slots die set from Sizzix. It comes in two pieces. This is the little ephemera pack that I'll be using from Holtz called Snippets. And then I will also use this clear stamp set by Jen Long for Sizzix. And last but not least, this will go on the inside of the card. So let's get started. This is what the die set looks like. Again, you've got your stitch slots and then also a little tag there that will go on the front, like a label. So I'm using very heavy craft cardstock, and I'll get my slots and that little label cut out, running that through my Sizzix Big Shot die cutting machine. I take 2 passes at it to get all those little pieces and parts cut out. And you can see it indeed cuts out several slots. And it has stitching around the edges, hence the stitched slots name. Okay, there's our 2 pieces. So let's keep going. Now I'm going to take a little bit of Distress ink and Vintage Photo and just go around the edges of each one of these to age them quite a bit. I want to get a really vintage looking card going here. And you know, as I'm working on this would be so fun to use old tickets like from movies or entry tickets to events and little photos. Just different pieces and parts from maybe some of the history that you have with your families. But anyway, you can see here I'm going down each one of those slots, just kind of reinforcing that stitching around the edge and also all of the slots. So my card base and the mats, all the dimensions and supplies for this card can be found on my card blog. I'll have a link at the end of this video if you want to pop over there and look at the dimensions and supplies. But again, I'm just going around this little piece of paper here that I'm going to use as a mat and inking it up, just to get it to kind of blend in with that ephemera and the old-timey look. And then I'm simply going around the whole card front. I'm not concerned if it's splotchy or not. Any kind of old vintage ephemera has a kind of grungy look, so that's what I'm going for. So I'll quickly get this little mat put down on the front of my card. I like to go over things with a little brayer to just really smush the glue around behind it and make sure I have good adhesion between my mat and my card base. Alright, now we're getting closer to the most fun part. On the stitch slots die cut, I want to make sure I go around the edges, only the 4 sides. I'm not going to put any glue on those slotted pieces. And of course you can see I left a little area below the last slot because I want to tuck things in and behind each of these slots, including that bottom panel. Now I'll get that put down, and I need to give it a little time to really dry before I show you this. So I'll come back and show you how, by not adhering those slots down, you're going to be able to tuck things behind that. While that's drying, I went over and just stamped the Celebrate on that little label, and that will go right on the front of my stitched slots panel. I thought that word fit perfectly on there, and I get that adhered quite quickly right here. And then I'll move on. Here's where I take my little spatula here, and I'm showing you those are not adhered. Now here's the ephemera pack. It's called Snippets from Holtz, and there are so many cute possibilities. Just look at all of this. So many things to choose from. I just love it all. So I just start pulling and picking stuff and kind of sticking it in, and this will not be what my final card looks like because you can see I mess around with it quite a bit. You can get carried away with all of these things. But if you have anything like this little white photo here, I'm just aging it a little bit again with that Vintage Photo ink. I just think it fits in a little better color-wise. So again, you could play with this all day long. You can see why you want to leave those slats loose because you can tuck in, over, around. Just keep working with it until it comes out the way that you like, just visually, whatever you like. There's no right or wrong here. That's part of the art and part of the fun of using these ephemera pieces. So I'll just keep moving along. I'm trying to add some color here and there so that this card isn't so bland. I'm going to tuck these flowers under that very bottom panel. And just arranging and rearranging. It's a lot of fun just going through that whole, look how many pieces you get in that ephemera pack. It's limitless and all different sizes and shapes, and you can cut these down, use half here and another half on a different card, whatever you want. So again, I'm trying to pull the color across so everything isn't so bland and in the browns family. And I'm thinking that looks pretty good. Add a splash of color at the top, and that will pull the eye across the card. Now, I decided I really like this tag of sorts right here. So I'm going to remove the 50 cents and simply punch that where it looks like a tag would go. And I brought over some cotton string, and I'll get that put through that hole very quickly, just tying a simple knot. Nothing fancy here. I'm sorry I go off camera a little bit, but it's just just a simple knot. And then I'll bring over a scrap piece of paper and go back to my vintage photo ink and kind of ink up my thread there, my string. Because again, I want that to fit in with the other aged looking pieces on my card. So that's how you give it a kind of a tie-dye look on your string. Just run your ink across it. And when it dries, it will be pretty permanent. All right, now to get to the point of actually adhering these things in place, I move around, and you can see as I go, if something catches my eye, I may very well replace what I had already laid out. That's okay. That's part of the fun of doing this type of card. Again, no right or wrong, just whatever pleases you and is pleasing to your eye. That's the right way. Okay, pulling these colors down across there. I just sped this up very quickly so you don't have to sit through too much of this. Looking at the colors that I have going on, trying to make a triangle of colors here, so visually your eye is carried across the entire card. I can't get away from that 50 cents. I just think I need to use it, so right there. Looks like a good home for that. Again, adding a little more color and doing that visual triangle of color here. I'm going across and down to that little red thing and then back up to the top. There, that's looking pretty good, but there's one little spot that was still bothering me, and I was going to use some of these. I think you could actually use these little labels and stamp something on them. That would be cute. But I like this little circle, and again, that pulls that red right down that side of my card, kind of tying the bottom to the top. And that completes my card for today. This is so much fun. You could really have a lot of fun with this, especially if you have some items from your family that you wanted to tuck in for a special card for grandmother, an aunt, uncle, sister, brother, mother, father, whatever. Here's some close-up looks on the card. I hope you enjoyed watching how this was made and that you might get inspired to give it a try and look around at some of the things you might have at your house that could be tucked into this stitch slot die set. Anyway, I went back and did several more of these using different background colors, trying to stay subtle on the background so that all the ephemera stands out. There's my finished card with a lined envelope. I'm so glad you joined me today. I hope you will subscribe, leave me a message or comment, and come back and see me next week. Happy crafting, everyone.